The Five Nights at Freddy's franchise is seriously a one-of-a-kind phenomenon. It joins the ever-growing list of games from the 2010s that sparked massive fan bases and became instant cult classics. Minecraft, Among Us, Fortnite, just to name a few others that became mainstream icons in the industry pretty quickly. You might not like that they became gaming icons, but they did. But Five Nights at Freddy's was an instant horror classic in its first year, skyrocketing in popularity almost instantly, which most other games didn't do. It immediately became the hottest thing on the internet, and it never seemed to die down. Even today, with the upcoming FNaF movie on the horizon, it's still red hot, and pretty much everyone and their grandma is excited about this. But I'm not here to talk about the movie today. I'm here to talk about the original game, the one that started it all. The original Five Nights at Freddy's came out at a time where the 3 Scary Games video format was running rampant. Big creators playing horror games was the hottest thing, and Five Nights at Freddy's really benefited by coming out during that era. Although I don't so much want to talk about why Five Nights at Freddy's became such a hit as much as I do why it's so scary. So buckle up, because we're gonna dive right in. The first Five Nights at Freddy's takes place in an old beat-up pizzeria in the year 2003. Now, I know that people theorize that FNaF 1 takes place in 1993, but the phone guy tells us in Five Nights at Freddy's 1 that the animatronics have been around for 20 years.
If I were forced to sing those same stupid songs for 20 years and I never got a bath, I'd probably be a bit irritable at night too.
Freddy Fazbear's Pizza was founded in 1983 as seen from the VR coins, so that puts Five Nights at Freddy's 1 in 2003. The main reason I see for the whole 1993 theory is that they correlate the paycheck to the minimum wage laws of that time, but the problem here is that workers can get paid by their labor rather than by a salary. The misconception might have risen from their concept of a job including solely salary earnings, but anyways, enough about the salary of the FNaF night guard. No amount of money would be enough for me to take that job anyways. Well, I mean, if you add a few zeros, maybe. Five Nights at Freddy's perfectly captures that dingy, early 2000s children's establishment aesthetic. As someone who grew up going to establishments like Haven as a kid, for example, I'm more than familiar with a cast of characters in dusty old costumes, and arcades with that classic pattern on the carpet, the smell of cheap food in the hallways, and yet it somehow manages to still smell so appealing. My point is that I used to go to a place like Freddy Fazbear's as a child, so I have memories that help me identify with the location, and I'm assuming as a child most people were familiar with animatronics and had seen them in person at least once. Now I don't know about you, but as a child I was mesmerized by animatronics. Everywhere I went they always caught my eye, and I never knew how to really process them in my mind. They had this weird, empty stare about them. It's like no matter how friendly and appealing they tried to make them, they always seemed sinister. They always appeared to be masquerading as some sort of children's character, like something that was trying to blend into its environment and hadn't quite perfected friendly emotions yet, or emotions at all for that matter. This is something that the FNaF 1 animatronics have down to a T, and it's all due to their designs. They're designed to look friendly and appealing, but there's something about them, just something that's not quite right. A few screws loose in the head, quite literally, and you can see that reflected in their designs. The characters' eyes grab my attention all the time, and I think this is because of how they're positioned in the characters' heads. They seem almost too small for their masks, leaving this black outline around them. It gives them this extra lifeless feel, like this isn't their true face, like the metaphor of them being this sinister entity that's just wearing a mask and masquerading is physically reflected through this design choice. My point is further proven if you look at the plush versions of the characters. Now, I know these are just plush toys, but look at how their eyes are fully filling out their eye sockets. Notice how much more appealing they look? Their eyes don't look sunken, they don't look lifeless, and they actually look like children's characters. Staying on topic of their designs real quick though, take a look at Chica. Chica used to scare me the most when I first played the game back in 2014. I think it was mostly due to the beak. There's little to no emotion able to be conveyed with it, and it shows. She never looks happy, she never looks angry, there's nothing. No emotion. These animatronics aren't designed to look happy, but they're not designed to look angry either. They have such an emotionless expression, which kind of brings me on to my next point. These animatronics, just talking about the first game, were just that, animatronics. They weren't anything more. The way I saw it was that they were animatronics that wandered the halls at night, and it played on the fear of the unknown. They didn't speak, they didn't feel, they didn't think. All we knew about them was what we were told on night 1 by the phone guy. He tells us, of course, that they
get a bit quirky at night.
But that's all we know. The reason later entries like Security Breach fail to scare me, alongside so many other people, is that they're treated like sentient beings. They think, they feel. They don't even move mechanically anymore. They just move like regular Outlast enemies or something. It's a shame because in the first game, and even the second to an extent, we're fed this fear of the unknown, and that's the ultimate fear inducer at the end of the day. Speaking about movement, the way we see these robotic tin cans move around is really great. Apart from one occasion, we never see them move. We never actually witness them moving. And I know this is because of the type of game that it is, but still, limitation breeds creativity, and that's definitely on show here. We only see the aftermath of what the animatronics are doing. We never actually see them in motion until right before they kill you. You hear them a lot though, which adds to the whole atmosphere of the first game, which I think is what it excels at, atmosphere. The audio in this game is at its peak. The hum of electricity, the desk fan, and the occasional echo through the halls really bring the ambience of this game to life. Or emphasize a lack of life, I suppose. The way FNaF 1 handles its audio is perfect, from hearing slow, thudding footsteps coming down the hallway to Chica knocking pots and pans over in the kitchen area, but us not being able to see what she's actually doing in there. It adds to the unknown factor of the game, and just throws another mystery on the pile of ever-growing mysteries that we have already. The game feeds you very little information as to why what's happening is actually happening, but it gives you enough to get your mind racing, especially when things start going south. The bite of 87? What was that? The frontal lobe? Oh, okay, well, it's safe to say that an animatronic character probably bit someone's face off, but we don't know how or why that happened. And that's all we need to know. Yeah, it's cool getting the question answered as the games go on, but in FNaF 1 as a standalone entry, it's all you need for the fear factor to skyrocket. We're told what these machines are capable of doing, and that's ripping someone's face off like a deranged chimpanzee. We aren't told why or how, just that it happened during the day and that they refer to it as the bite of 87. This also suggests that if they were like that during the day, what would they do to you at nighttime? It's established they're worse at night, so we're basically being told, hey, you thought it was bad then? Well, you're in for it now. I know we're told that they might stuff us inside a Freddy Fazbear suit, and that is exactly what we see on the game over screen, but psychologically it screws with you. And the first time you hear that phone call, it has you replaying all sorts of hypotheticals out in your head. I also think it's important to talk about the controls of the game and how they impact the fear factor. Your character is static the entire game, and all you can do is look left and right, open your cameras, flip on a light switch or two, and play with some door controls. That's it. Oh, and also the most important thing in the game. There's nothing else you can do. You're stuck there in that office like a fly in a spider's web, powerless to do anything while you watch these horrifying, lifeless husks edge ever closer towards you. A predator to its prey, a Freddy Fazbear to its security guard. That doesn't quite have the same ring to it. I don't know. You get my point. You can't even move. One of the most basic things in a video game is being able to move, so having that basic function removed and leaving us paralyzed really helps with making us feel, well, powerless, which we are. It emphasizes it in the best way. The only method of defense we have are the doors, and even then we're discouraged from using them. The phone guy even tells us not to use them that much. The whole game relies on micromanagement and paranoia. The paranoia that while you're checking on where that came from, that whatever was just making noise in the kitchen has slipped into your office and is drooling inches from your face when you look back up. It's not like you can run away either. You can't do anything. You're stuck there, faced with the inevitability of death. What are the animatronics' motivations for killing you anyways? Well, I'd hazard a guess that it's got something to do with what the phone guy says over the phone at the beginning about stuffing you in a suit. They don't recognize you as a person at nighttime because there's not supposed to be anyone there, so they try to put you inside a costume just like them. That's all we know, and bear in mind I'm assessing this as a standalone game. I'm ruling out all of the possessed child stuff because in the first game we had none of that. In my mind, it's far scarier to think that these are unthinking, old, dusty metal robots that slowly trudge towards you and then force you into a suit filled with sharp edges, all because they don't even recognize you as being a human. They don't even know what a human is. The element of the unknown is so important for horror to be effective, and Five Nights at Freddy's proves that. With Security Breach as an example, effectively just having them as fully animated Disney characters, it really strips them of their fear factor. They also throw in a bunch of goofy jokes about writing and signing off in case you get injured, it's nothing to do with Fazbear Entertainment. Like, they play on the humor so much, and these characters are so bright and colorful and Disney-fied, it just doesn't work the same as the first game did. It really strips them of their fear factor. Here, they're old, dusty, outdated, and out for blood. And the worst part is that they're not sentient at all. It's just cold, dead machinery, aimlessly wandering the halls, and if they happen to stumble across you, they won't hesitate to press you like a Play-Doh kitchen. So how can you avoid this? Well, there's a few ways you can do this. There's no strategy that works 100% to my knowledge. There's always a chance of you dying because of either an animatronic appearing at your door for too long, causing you to drain too much power, or Foxy attacking you too many times, who knows. The strategy that got me through the initial 5 nights was checking both lights, flip up the camera for a split second to freeze Freddy in place because Freddy won't move if you keep flipping the camera on him, and then rinse and repeat with both lights. If you spot Chica or Bonnie at your door, slam that door shut immediately and just keep repeating that sequence over and over again. This isn't guaranteed to work because of course you can run out of power, and I've had a few different occasions where that has happened to me, but I've scraped through since it's been 5 AM and you know, that's the gamble you take. At the end of the day, Five Nights at Freddy's 1 has so much going for it as a standalone horror game. It's the most unique one to me, just because of how simple it is, and I think its limitations force it to get creative with ways it can scare you. It uses ambience, a fear of the unknown, audio, uncertainty, and a lack of an optimal flawless strat, all in combination to create one of the scariest games of the past decade. And so in conclusion, that is why I think Five Nights at Freddy's 1 is the scariest game in the franchise. Then again, that's just my opinion. If you guys enjoy the later games in the series, that's perfectly fine. I've just got a soft spot for the original trilogy. The original one specifically, I really love the atmosphere, the aesthetic, and everything else about it. It's just my opinion at the end of the day. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys approached it with an open mind. But anyways, that's the end of today's video, so I will see you all in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.